Let's get to the backstory of what's going on with the border. Here's what's happening. Pew Research says that the U.S. is home to nearly 20% of the world's migrant population. Gallup already reported last December that more than 750 million people worldwide would migrate to the U.S. if they could. And look at this. New Yorker magazine just yesterday said this about the border crisis. Quote, if the U.S. government wants to stem the flow of people coming North and Central America, it has to try to address why they're leaving in the first place. Here's what's happening in Nicaragua. Under its authoritarian regime, more than 448 people were killed, many during protests last year. This year's death toll in Nicaragua is on a fast clip to outpace that. 325 people already killed in protests and more by the government there and government security forces. More than 50,000 have fled Nicaragua. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin has said this: Nicaragua is moving to dismantle Democrat institutions and loot the wealth, steal the wealth of Nicaragua to consolidate their grip on power. Let's get to Honduras. Corruption and violence so rampant. Journalists, environmental activists, LGBT individuals are vulnerable to violence, and Honduras' murder rate is among the highest in the world. That's from Human Rights Watchers. Let's get to Fox News contributor and retired Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. It's about what's going on in Central America, right, Colonel?
No, you're absolutely right. And when you're talking about some of those countries, especially Nicaragua, run by the Ortega brothers, these are, again, socialist dictators that are backed by Cuba, have associations with Iran, much the same as what we see happening with Venezuela. And we see a very failed organization. The Organization for American States should be seeing what is happening in Central America, in South America, and, of course, the infiltration into our borders. And they should be the ones asking, how do we, try to resolve this situation and restore functioning government? And I have to agree with President Trump. When you have Democrats that are refusing to acknowledge that there is a crisis, when you have lawmakers that don't understand that the United States of America is not a job fair and they don't want to properly understand asylum, he has no course of action but to try to have these drastic measures.
That's where the debate lies. Analysts keep noting that the U.S. must protect its asylum laws for the people, many of whom are poor and fleeing persecution. That's what those laws are for. But those people, those individuals, they're being crowded out and shoved aside by people simply trying to get a job. That's not covered under U.S. law. It's the same as stopping welfare fraud to protect it for the truly poor.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's just the same as now. Think about the people that do try to come here legally. That's why, they're being the ones that are now being pushed aside and folks just coming across the border wherever they can. And so the president has to take some type of action. When you talk about restricting these funds to these states, this is Pavlovian, Liz. If you continue to reward bad behavior, you're just going to get more bad behavior. So we have to send a message to Mexico, to El Salvador, Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador and Honduras, and just tell them that you have to start policing up yourself, because we're not just an open jobs fair and just a place for squatters.